people don't seem to understand how hard it is to deal with. I can't even talk. Sorry. I'm having anxiety right now because I can't do this and it's frustrating me. Hey guys, it's me, Ballet Bugs, and today I wanted to talk about something that is really personal with me and something that I have personally experienced and dealt with for a long time, actually ever since I was young, and that is anxiety. Anxiety is a mental thing, and a lot of people don't realize that. What is anxiety? Anxiety is this feeling of not being good enough, or just an inner tense feeling that people get within them, that sometimes there's not even like a specific reason. Something just triggers it. Anxiety is different from stress. Everybody gets stressed at some points, but anxiety is a little bit different in the sense that it's more of a long-term type of thing. It doesn't happen just because, oh, I'm stressed because I have to write an essay tonight that's due tomorrow, or I'm stressed because I'm really busy at work and I'm not getting enough sleep. No, anxiety is a little bit different. It's more of like this feeling of never being good enough and always finding something within yourself that you're not doing to the best ability that you can. A lot of times anxiety comes with perfectionistic qualities. People with anxiety tend to have low self-esteem or never feeling good enough, and it also comes with, I need to be the best at everything or otherwise it's not good enough. One thing that people with anxiety tend to deal with is the statement that I'm not good enough. What I'm doing is not good enough. So therefore, I can't do anything right. What am I doing? It's just something really difficult that people with anxiety deal with, this feeling of never feeling like they're good enough. It's really hard because people don't seem to understand what anxiety is fully, and the hard part is that anxiety isn't just like there's one set type of anxiety and that's what it looks like and that's how it is and that's that. It's not like a physical cold where here are the symptoms, here's the medication to treat it, and if you take the meds for a few days, you'll feel better, you'll be good, and then you're done. Anxiety is much different, and a lot of times you have to find ways to cope with it internally, and it's different for everybody. People with anxiety, the ways they react to anxiety are different in each person. Now, I know a lot of you out there have anxiety, and then there's also a lot of people who don't suffer from anxiety. But for me, I've had anxiety since I was a young little girl. I was always a very anxious child when I was little. I always just had the tendency to get anxious very easily, no matter what it was. School gave me anxiety. Just being in the house, some things would set off my anxiety. Like when I was much younger, if I didn't know where my mom was, I would freak out and I would start getting like an anxiety attack and crying and wondering where she went and assuming that she had disappeared, and it wasn't even me I was worried about. I was worried that now my sisters and I both won't like have our mom and what's gonna happen. Just something I've dealt with, and it's really, really hard to deal with sometimes. It can be very deteriorating to yourself. It just causes a lot of internal emotions and frustration and almost like self-hatred. For me personally, sometimes my anxiety can be triggered by random things, and I'll just start feeling panicky inside. And it's not always visible to people on the outside, but inside I'll start getting really nervous. I won't even know why I'm getting nervous, but I'm just getting anxiety. Or it'll come in being so frustrated with myself and striving for perfection, and when it's not achieved, which perfection is really hard to achieve considering nobody's perfect, taking it out on myself and beating myself up internally for not being good enough. When I have an anxiety attack, I start kind of getting short of breath, and then I'll start just crying. That's the way my anxiety tends to manifest, because I'm also a very emotional person. I've always been an emotional girl. Like, I cry really easily, and that's okay, but my anxiety tends to manifest through tears and being really panicky. My chest, I'll start to feel tight and nervous, and sometimes I'll start fidgeting. Sometimes that's also how my anxiety manifests. I'll just start messing with my fingernails, or I tend to like play with my earring when I get anxious, or even with my hair sometimes. And then with dance, I also have struggled with anxiety. Dance has been a part of my life since I was like 2.5 years old, and ballet has been a part of my life since I was 4. And when I was younger, it didn't cause as much anxiety, but as I got older and realized this is what I want to do as a career, it did become more anxiety provoking, just because of my perfectionistic tendencies and low self-confidence. As I got older, it got a little worse. For me, I think in the dance world, anxiety is actually pretty prevalent. I think it's just the nature of the career it is, and what ballet is. It's a very demanding, competitive field, and there's always the strive for being better. And some people are more prone to putting it in a negative place instead of a helpful place that can push you forward. And I know that's something that I've had to work on, and I'm still really trying to work on, because it's something that I deal with. It causes me to get really frustrated with myself when I don't do a perfect pirouette, or adagio isn't good enough or perfect. It's just really hard to accept that nothing and no one is ever going to be perfect. Then I'm just focused on, no, I need to do this better. No, I need to be perfect. Well, it's not perfect. What do I do now? I'm a disappointment to everybody. Everybody thinks I suck. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, why can't I just be good enough? And why can't I do the step the way I see everybody else doing it? And my brain is just distorted. Basically, what I think everybody else sees me as. And I know a lot of dancers out there deal with these same frustrations, and I know that anxiety in dancers is probably more common because we have such high standards that we already need to achieve, that we tend to put even more pressure on ourselves to achieve them, and it makes it really difficult to do without taking it to that negative place. Just as symptoms and the way we show our anxiety, the way we deal with anxiety is different from person to person. Tools to help you cope with anxiety. Like I said before, it's different for every person, so I really just recommend experimenting with different ways of coping or finding ways to stop yourself from getting into such a anxious place that you feel like you can't get out of it. For me, trying to distract myself has helped a lot. When I feel like I'm getting in that anxious place, I'll be like, stop, I need to stop thinking this. I need to just focus on something else, do something. Sometimes even coloring. I know that sounds like, what? Coloring? That's like for 5-year-olds. But no, they have like these intricate coloring books now that you can just focus on the colors and a color scheme and just try not to think about what's making you anxious just for a period of time until it's subsided and you can move on. Other things that I think work, people. I know anxiety can be a very isolating disease. I know I tend, when I get anxious, I push away people and I just kind of go into my shell. And having alone time isn't a bad thing. It's perfectly normal, and I think everybody needs alone time. But when it gets into a place where you're purposely isolating yourself from society, that's where it can take a negative turn. So if you're feeling anxious and you have a close friend who you can talk to, maybe just say, hey, I'm feeling a little anxious right now. I'm not really in the mood to talk about it, but hey, let's just go do something. Let's go get some lunch, or let's go see a movie, or let's just go shopping and focus on something else. I think it's good to also let those feelings be vented to somebody else. Or even if you don't want to talk to somebody else, write it in a notebook how you're feeling. Just scribble it all down so you can write it out and then close it or finish talking and just say, okay, thank you so much for listening. Now I can resolve it and be done with it and try to calm myself down. There's also like essential oils that are supposed to be calming. Like lavender is a really good scent for relieving anxiety. Taking a hot shower. I know for me, after a long day, sometimes just getting in a hot shower, just letting the warmth just wash away the day can actually be also very calming and relaxing to help relieve anxiety. Hot tea and reading a book. Just get yourself out of that zone where you feel like you are about to panic, and whatever you can do just to get yourself in a place where you're not quite as anxious and to stop thinking about the stuff that's making you anxious and obsessing over it. Just something to get you out of that negative place, whatever works for you. Yeah, that's just really how I feel about anxiety. It's still something that I'm working on every day, and trust me, it's not easy. There are some days where I feel okay, I'm good enough, and other days, no matter what anybody says, I just automatically think, no, it's not true. They're just saying that to be nice, or they're lying. I know I suck. Like, what am I doing? Why do I suck? And it's just so frustrating. Something that's so internal, and like nobody else can really see that you're struggling with this inner hate towards yourself. It'll be something that I'll always have to work on. Anxiety is such a hard thing, and people don't seem to understand how hard it is to deal with. And it's not something that can just poof, okay, that's over and done with. I'm not anxious anymore. They deal with it for a good portion of their lives. It's just finding the right ways to cope with it, I think, that make all the difference. You're not alone. There are plenty of people out there who suffer from anxiety, and that there are also people out there who are willing to listen, like close friends. I have a lot of close friends and family who I can talk to sometimes when I'm feeling anxious and tell them how I feel and why I don't feel good enough as a dancer, and they can sometimes reassure me and give me that reassurance, and it helps me calm down a lot. I hope some of you found this relatable. Anxiety sucks, I know. It's not fun. It's a real pain in the butt. We will get through it, okay? Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon on my next video. Thanks again. Ballet Bugs is peacing out.